Everyone in your life, your mom, your cat, your grandpa, your neighbor has heard of Sparta, partially because of this movie and partially because they were one of the most powerful Greek city-states due to their warrior class and no surrender role. So how did they fall from grace? Well, Sparta depended on two things for their hegemony or supremacy of Greece: men, their ability to fight, and myth, their reputation of fighting. Here's how they ended up losing both. Reason number one is corruption and loss of the old way. Now this story is best shown through Gylippus or Gylippus. Essentially, this guy was a war hero who was returning home and was put in charge of the money, but he ended up taking a lot of it. Boo-hoo, that's corruption. Not in Sparta. The old way of Sparta didn't have gold or silver due to corruption like that. They thought that all Spartan warriors should be equal, and because it would encourage greed and corruption like Gylippus or Gylippus showed. Reason number two, we hate Lysander. Though not one of the two Spartan kings, Lysander held an amazing amount of political power and had a huge ego, to the point where he built a monument for himself that had 37 statues lined front to back at Delphi, which was once again not something that Spartans did due to everyone wanting to be equal. An example of what it would have looked like: 37 statues. Reason number three, an extremely reckless king. When a reliable King Aegeus passed away, his son Leotychides should have taken over the role of king. But then Lysander got involved. And Lysander was lovers with Leotychides' half-brother Agesilaus, so he wanted Agesilaus to be king so that way he could influence him. Now there was once a prophecy that Sparta should never have a lame kingship, and Agesilaus had a club foot. So Lysander should lose this one, right? No, because Leotychides was actually the son of the Athenian Alcibiades, who all of Sparta knew was sleeping with the king's wife the entire time, but nobody chose to say anything, so now Leotychides isn't king and Agesilaus is. Reason number four, population loss. In 397 BCE, there was a helot or slave revolution that wanted to overthrow all full Spartans, which thank God for the Spartans that they discovered, because they were suffering already from oligothropia, which is population loss. There were probably only about 5,000 full Spartans left, and Agesilaus, a year later in 396 BCE, chose to go to war. He basically traveled all throughout Persia to liberate cities. Then, after all of that life loss, which they cannot afford, a year later they have to go into the Corinthian War. And this war lasted years. It was continuous because neither side had enough money for fighting. So it was on and off and on and off and on and off, but the lives kept dropping. So there's no more men. Now during that said Corinthian War in 391 BC, a group of Spartan hoplites, which were professional soldiers, were returning from Corinth to Sparta. They ran into Athenian peltasts, who, as you can see, are not professional soldiers at all, since they only carry a javelin and a small shield. Professional Spartan hoplites should easily win this, but they don't. They really only win by throwing rocks at them, which is super embarrassing, and they tell everyone that. So the myth is gone. Part 2 coming for the final blow.